And now it's projected that China's population, get this, will plunge to 486 million people by 2100. This is a social economic crisis, and it's spreading around the world, particularly the wealthy nations. And it's encroaching. It's encroaching on America at this very moment. In nations where there's only one grandchild between four grandparents, the population will drop by 75% in this 2 generations. It's already happening in China, South Korea, Italy, Poland. Joining me now, Fox and Friends weekend co-host Griff Jenkins, along with Federalist elections correspondent Brianna Lyman. Brian, I'm going to start with you because we got to figure out a way to, we have to make sure, we have to nip this in the bud in America. I know it doesn't get talked about a lot. And one thing I saw interesting, and it's really interesting because I know young folks your age like to move to the city. 45 of them live in a studio apartment. Unfortunately, fertility is really low if you live in an apartment, particularly a studio apartment. But it gets better. A 2-bedroom, it goes up a little bit more. A 3-bedroom, forget about it. You know, you're doing pretty good. You're saving the nation. What can we do about this?
I think this is actually a really interesting comparison. My generation is being priced out of the housing market. There's also not a ton of options available to us, so we do tend to spend our time living in apartments. So having a 2-bedroom makes us more inclined to want to have children. Nobody wants a baby in a studio with a husband. Like, it's too much.
Yeah, look, we should change the show from making money to making babies because we got to solve this.
Yeah, that's the only way we can make money in the future.
Yeah, and
you got to have people.
In China, it's really remarkable because not only do they have that declining population now they've got an aging population. And I think, as we were talking just before we came on the air here, China is making more robots because they can't make the babies. But at the end of the day, without the young people that are willing to bring that birth rate back, I don't know what they do. And in China, as you know, they work crazy hours. They have like this 9-9-6, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week. When are they going to have babies? How are they going to encourage young people, both here at home and over there?
All right. Good.
Really quickly, what China actually did is they implemented a policy a few years ago. It's like a 30-day cool-off policy. If you want to divorce your partner, you got to wait 30 days because married couples tend to, reproduce.
Right. So let's talk about here then how we get men and women together in this country. We've got a couple of issues, folks. All right. This first chart shows you the age of what partners men and women find attractive. Give an example. So at 20, men find women attractive. At 20 years old, women find 23-year-olds attractive. But if you go down the scale, at 50 years old, men find 22-year-old women attractive. Women find 46-year-old men attractive. We got an issue there. We got a serious problem there. What's up with the men? Griff, what's going on?
I don't know. Listen.
I mean, we're all Leonardo DiCaprio. What's going on?
Exactly. I think, cultural issues are part of it because men are just told that, you should find younger, attractive women. But I do think the fact that women are now slowly going towards less attractive men, it's like the Shrek effect. Right? They want that ugly guy who they think will love them more.
I think there's a money issue there. I'm going to bring up another chart, though. I'm glad you gave me the segue, okay? How men and women rate each other in terms of looks. So this is according to OkCupid. Women are really tough on men. 27% find them all least attractive, 31% not attractive, 23% not attractive, whereas men are more forgiving, right? In fact, men find 6% say, women are attractive. 0% of women say men are most attractive. Why are your standards so high? We're trying to save the nation.
I wish I could answer that because I don't have high standards personally, unfortunately.
So what do you look for?
I look for a good personality. So looks to me, and I know a lot of my female friends feel the same way, we've put aside looking for someone who's good looking and we want someone who's personality-wise great. Also, to the point about men going after younger women, look, younger women, their youthful traits, it signals fertility.
Right.
That is an engine, a bioevolutionary
But I mean, the highest, though, the 24, you can go a little higher than that, though.
Oh, I mean, look, it'd be great to go maybe like 28. That feels normal, but,
the late 30s, at least.
Yeah.
Look, I will say this. There is hope when Taylor Swift, the superstar, marries Travis Kelce, who is not the best-looking guy in the world, certainly can't compete on the money scale with Taylor Swift.
Right.
She's going for him, just released an album.
Pure love.
It's all pure
personality.
Love. There's hope.
Personality and pure love. Okay, all right, so there's hope. Hope springs eternal. Another problem, though, for us is the other thing, populism. We're talking about this election here. A list came out the other day about the 9 reasons that populism is growing around the world. I have a lot of issues with this list. At the bottom, though, was social media and the internet. The good news is that, according to one report, We peaked in 2022, our social media use. And Brianna, here's the thing, 16 to 24-year-olds, they peaked first, and they're really coming down a lot. You know, I mean, could that just fade away? I mean, and how much of the issue do you think it is in terms of hurting our nation?
Well, I think young people are particularly fatigued with social media because we've grown up on it so much, so we're looking for something new. And when it comes to populism, social media has encouraged people to become more populist because we're seeing things that you wouldn't ordinarily see. I wouldn't have seen stuff going on in California with the Mexican flag being waved in the street, but the American flag being burned.
Right.
I see that because of the rise in social media. And I think the rise in populism in general is because people are starting to expect the state to do what a state should do, which is protect a people, a culture, and a heritage.
I think, you know, as the guy that first covered tea parties, if you go all the way back to that was an early populist movement that I think President Trump leaned into. And you see populism rising on the left as well. Remember Bernie Sanders? The same message was there that
this next election for Democrats, they're going to go far, far left. They're going to go off the planet, I think, you know, in terms
But will that be true populism, or does that get them into socialism and communism as it does here in the mayoral race in New York? At the end of the day, there's a growing number of voters and Americans that are dissatisfied with the status quo in the establishment on both sides.
Griff, you're new to this, so we usually end it on a good note, a happier note. For all the negative press that we get about being the ugly Americans, we're going to put up a chart here because this one is great. How likely is your country to help a stranger? And guess who's number one?
America. USA.
Can you believe that?
I love it. By the way, in the invasion of Iraq, I was embedded with the Marine Casualty Evacuation Unit. And you know what we rescued? Our Marines and Iraqis, and saved countless lives. That was the first time I ever saw how great we were.
Well, it's amazing. I mean, you would think with this, Brianna, we wouldn't have any problem with this fertility thing.
And yet here we are. There's not enough community-oriented programs.
But isn't it great to know, though? I mean, just because we're always told to look down on ourselves and we're not sophisticated and we don't like each other. Maybe we like each other more than the media like to admit.
Maybe we should get off our phones more and like our neighbors even more. Imagine that.
I love it.